Hi, I'm Lucy Baker, Guilford Senior Communications Manager. I'm really excited to be here with Barbara Geldner and Laura Feuer-Byrne, co-authors of Social and Emotional Learning in the Classroom, second edition. They're going to share some tips and strategies with us that teachers can use to promote SEL in the classroom and online, and also just to discuss what's new and exciting about this upcoming second edition. So, okay, let's get started. This book is the second edition of a text that was first published 10 years ago in 2010. And it seems like so much must have happened in the past 10 years. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, thanks so much, Lucy, and for having us. So 10 years goes by really fast. The research and practices around SEL have really developed at a rapid pace, and the conversations we're having are really dynamic, innovative, and evolving. And it's been really remarkable to watch how much interest SEL has generated over these last 10 years.
And there's certainly a lot to talk about right now.
Yes, definitely. So, of course, we're currently experiencing a worldwide pandemic, and students and educators are returning to school in many different ways at this point. So some are returning to an actual school building, or a virtual environment, or even a hybrid approach. We're also having critical discussions about racism, bias, gross inequities, stress, and trauma. We're identifying emotions like uncertainty, anxiety, loneliness, anger, grief, despair, and hopelessness. And at the same time, we're also talking about taking care of ourselves and other people, hopefulness, compassion, responsibility, and calls to action.
That's so interesting and true. What are your thoughts about how social and emotional learning, or what we call SEL, has particular relevance?
So SEL really encompasses all of these topics. It uses everyday, current, and historical situations to learn about our social and emotional experiences. And SEL supports people in growing as individuals, in their relationships with other people, as a society, and how we can act in ways that are helpful. We think SEL offers something that is critically needed now and in the future.
Can you tell us a little bit about the second edition and what's new?
Absolutely. So this edition reflects a lot of the updates that we've seen from both a research and a practice perspective. There are 9 chapters. In this second edition, we added an extra chapter on educator SEL. And overall, the book highlights big ideas and finer implementation details. So things like planning in a multi-tiered system, paying attention to school climate and cultural considerations, collaborating and partnering amongst educators, families, and the broader community, and examples of SEL programs and strategies. There's also information on effective instruction, professional development, and assessment. We've also included updated handouts, worksheets, and vignettes, and reflection activities. So readers can actually dive deeper into the materials and personalize them a bit more.
That's great. And how do you envision the book being used?
So we think that this book is acceptable or accessible to practitioners, researchers, and students in higher education. So those that are new to SEL and people with years of experience. We would very much like readers to engage with the book in a way that is collaborative, inclusive, and reflective. We also want this text to complement other trusted resources. So we could not address everything about SEL in this book, but we give ideas on finding additional materials. And finally, we're hoping that the information in the book will spark new research and practice that will include all voices, sustain these important conversations that we're having, and continue to move the field forward in a positive direction.
Let's talk about some specific areas that readers might find especially helpful, along with some tips for SEL right now.
Okay, great. So let's first talk about educator SEL, and this is one of Laura's areas of expertise. What are your thoughts, Laura?
Oh, thank you, Barb and Lucy. Educator social emotional competence is an exciting new chapter. Increasingly, research is demonstrating just how crucial this topic is. There is no question that teachers with SEL competency more effectively model and teach SEL skills to students. Educators with SEL competency, they achieve stronger outcomes, they achieve better relationships, and create classrooms with more equitable, inclusive, and supportive climates. If we think about it, it makes sense. If, for example, we are comfortable with confident with our own ability to manage our emotions, then we can better guide students in regulating theirs. In my years of teaching at University of Washington-Tacoma and partnering with schools, I've had the honor to work with educators across disciplines and various levels of schools. And many experience and express a sense of low self-efficacy. They are concerned that they lack preparation, they might say or do the wrong thing, and they're concerned that they don't know how to respond to student issues that arise when engaging in topics central to equity and self. We can really start by engaging in some powerful self-reflection activities and cultural values inventories. We can reflect on our own upbringing, asking ourselves what emotions were encouraged or perhaps discouraged in our household as a child and maybe currently. We can reflect on how we react when we experience discomfort, and we can think about our feelings, about our own feelings and our emotions, and maybe those that are expressed by others. And we could consider how that might differ if we were raised as a different gender, ethnicity, or race. And by protecting this time to go inward, reflecting on our own upbringings, and discussing how we view and approach the world with others, we stand to deepen our self-understanding and uncover perhaps hidden biases.
And how about relationships? How about building relationships? So they're the foundation to any of the work that we do.
Absolutely. Relationships is a salient theme of this book, and of course in the field of self. Relationships with ourselves, our colleagues, our students, and our families, incredibly important. So a very specific strategy is we can begin each class session, online or in person, with class meetings, circles, and emotion check-ins or warm welcomes. Emotion check-ins, or mini introspections in the field of psychology, they tend to develop a tolerance for unpleasant life circumstances and help us acknowledge and process our emotions and help us process things that might not otherwise be processed and that might lead to anxiety and depression and disconnection. Check-ins often lead with physical check-in, like a body scan, to help us ground, become more embodied, particularly in this virtual world. And that's really important. So students are asked to tune into their body, take a deep breath, and ask themselves, how am I feeling in this moment? We can use emotion vocabulary and metaphors to represent our internal states, such as through weather patterns, movies, or animals. So for instance, we might offer the prompt, if the emotion you're experiencing now was an animal, what animal would it be and why?
And so talk a little bit about implementing SEL throughout the day. So we know that sort of integrating these strategies throughout the day helps students integrate their skills with their actual experiences. So what are some ways educators can do this?
That's a great question, Barb. And integration is really a key element to SEL and one that leads to more meaningful, lasting outcomes. We know that effective SEL just doesn't take place in like a 30-minute period throughout the day, right? It's inextricably woven into all areas of our daily lives. So we can integrate SEL throughout the day by beginning a lesson with emotion check-ins or the warm welcome, and ending the lesson with a mindfulness-based activity like a diaphragmatic breathing exercise. And we can also segment our academic instruction to give our minds and bodies an engaging break, using mindful movements like yoga, tai chi, qigong, or creative breaks using music, nature, and art. It's important to select multiple modalities that are accessible to all of our students and draw on their strengths and rich cultural resources. Students have excellent ideas for breaks, and they're quite fun. And we recommend bringing in student voice whenever possible. Last, educators can leverage those kind of teachable moments using emotion coaching skills that we offer in the book. We recommend educators prepare for moments that might cause them to feel a sense of low efficacy or uncertainty. And it's important that we see these challenging moments as opportunities to forge relationships with our students and our families using validation, clarification, and connection.
Thanks so much, Laura. These are great ideas. I think we also wanted to mention and sort of close by mentioning the importance of supporting students who are struggling socially and emotionally. And sometimes it'll seem obvious that students are having a hard time, and other times it would be really difficult to tell. And when we think about supporting students, we also have to think about ecological factors, stressors, strengths, and resources. And a CEL framework can help us consider this bigger picture. And so some of the strategies that we can consider would be, especially at this point, is anticipating that more students may need support right now. We can also think about some professional development around how to identify student stress and distress and what we can do about that. Learning about how to show empathy for students. So what does that look like? What can I say? What can I do in brief snapshots of time that really validates their emotions and experiences? And doing this combination of empathy and validation really helps us feel connected and supports our students and our families' voices at the same time. And then finally, thinking about and having conversations around identifying resources that can be used to work for students and families. So for many students, schools can really help facilitate this access to services that may be otherwise very challenging to navigate.
Thank you so much for this information. I think it will be so useful to so many people. I'm not a teacher, but I am a parent of a student in elementary school, and I got so much out of this. So I can't thank you enough for your time, Barbara and Laura. Any last thoughts?
So I just wanted to jump in and say we really hope readers find the information helpful. And we're also really looking forward to learning more with everyone as time goes by. There's so much to learn, and to do that as a group. We're just really looking forward to that.
Well, thank you so much, and congratulations on the publication of your new book.
Thanks so much, Lucy.
Thank you.